Okay, so yesterday we saw how pay codes are set up in the system. So today we will start with work rule building blocks. So the first one is interval round rules and the punch round rules. So I'll explain you the basic concept of rounding. So we'll practice with some questions on rounding, and once we achieve that, we'll move to the next steps. So these are called as building blocks, and you have to set these from bottom to top. So once you set all of these, like you don't have to set every block, like you don't have to do columns, you don't have to do core hours, etc. But there are some important things that you need to set up, so that creates a work rule that goes here. So once this work rule is set up, you can use it to transfer, and this work rule can be assigned to a pay rule which is assigned to an employee, and this is how this employee gets interpreted, like based on what his overtime should be or how his fund should be rounded. So based on all those things, a payroll will be assigned to this employee. So we'll get started with the basics. So we cannot simply tell the system that if a person is coming at 8:05, you have to round it to 8 o'clock, or like his shift is at 8 but he is coming at 8:05. So you cannot go determine every minute and every hour, right? So you have to tell some logic to the system, based on which the system will determine if the punch should be sent back to 8 o'clock or should be sent back to 8:10 or 8:15. Understood? Is this clear? Why we are rounding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have some different rounding options, but you have to remember that this has to be divisible, like this has to be even, whatever round you're choosing. So for example, if there is a 5-minute round, it's dividing 5, 5, 5, 5, right? It's going to divide an hour into 5, like 60 by 5. So you'll get that particular round value. So if you're going to divide 60 minutes by 10, you're going to get pieces. If you're going to make it into 12 minutes, you're going to get 5 pieces. If you're going to divide it into 20 minutes, you're going to get 3 pieces. So here it says 1 to 6 to 12, right? This is not a clock. This is a clock, but you have to imagine doing this for an hour. Like we will in the next segment, we'll be dealing with this in hours. And you can also divide 12 hours into 30, so you'll get 2 segments out of it. So I will explain first by dividing 1 hour into 15 minutes. So we will so usually in Kronos the practice is to divide it either into 4 by using 15 minutes, or 10 by using 6 minutes, or you can use 30 and do it into 2. So I'll do 15. Your homework will be to do for 6. So consider this as an hour. This is 1 hour. So this is one. Suppose this is 8. So this is 8:00 a.m. This is 8:15, 8:30, and 8:45. So when I'm going to when I have to round it, I have to have two things in my mind, that I have to determine a grace value and a round value. So how will the system interpret if the time should go front or back, or if it should stay there? How will it determine? So we need a grace and a round for it. So how this works is, the round is going to divide, round is basically this interval. Like now I've taken 15, right? So that is my round, like whatever divisible number or whatever things we saw first, so that is round. So the round divides each hour into equal increments of time. The most common values are 15 and 6. So 15 is called as the quarter hour rounding, and 6 is called as the 10th hour rounding. So what grace does is, the grace determines if the punch should round, if the punch should go forward, or if the punch should go back. Like if it should have a previous increment, if it should have a previous increment, or if it should have a next increment. Say for example that a person is punching within the grace time, like it's 8 here, so it's 8:07, so he's punching within the grace time. So what you can tell the system is, if he is punching anywhere between 8 a.m. to 8:07, including the grace time, the punch can go to 8. If he is punching anywhere between 8:07 to 8:15, then the grace can go forward, like it can go to 8:15. Okay, so there are three important concepts here when it comes to rounding and grace. I'll use a notepad. Okay, so we have three terms here. Next. Okay, sorry. So once class is over, just make sure to note down this Excel alone. Okay, so it will be easier for you to remember in your later stages. So the first term is next. So next means, should my punch always go next, or should like what should I do for my punch to always go next, like irrespective of whatever time the employee is coming, like he might come at 8:05 or 8:12, whatever time, even 8:01, I want the punch to go forward. So there are some companies where they don't want employees to punch in late, so what they'll do is, this is like a loss for them, right? So even if you do 1 hour late, even if you come 1 hour late, and it's your punch is going to 8:15, then you're going to lose 15 minutes of your payment, 15 minutes of your payment, right? So you lose 5 rupees. So in order to avoid all those things, like in order to make the employee understand the value of time, some companies, they always want the punch to go forward. So that is next. The next one is nearest. So in this situation, what happens is, the grace will be somewhere in the middle, and this grace is going to basically divide this into two regions. And in the first region, anywhere if the employee punches in between here, the punch is going to go back to 8. And if the employee is going to punch anywhere in this segment, the punch is going to go forward. So this in this case, the punch rounds forward or backward to the nearest round interval. And in previous, it's here the grace is always one less than round, so the punch rounds backwards to the previous round interval except for 1 minute. So in this case, what happens is, my grace value would be 14 or something, 14 would be my grace. So anywhere between 8 to 8:14, my punch is always going to go back. So this is previous is exactly opposite to next. So that is previous. So let's see how we are going to determine the round and grace. Um, okay. So we are doing quarter hours. So my round is always going to be 15 in this case. So in next, what happens is, the grace value is going to be 0, because no matter what, the punch is always going to go to the next segment. So in nearest, it's going to be half, so it will be 7. And in previous, it's going to be 1 less than the round value, so it's going to be 14. I'll just add some notes. I'll type it here so you can copy it to your notes. Okay, so this is the basic definition, and we have just seen this using quarter rounding. So we'll do some examples in this. So this is a simple representation of how the next, previous, and nearest things work. So again, this is a 1 hour representation. So this is divided into 4 because we are taking 15 minutes each. So so in the first thing, they're going to explain how next works. So in next, your round is going to be 15, your grace is going to be 0. So no matter where you punch, it's going to take you to 815 only, anywhere you punch. So the next thing is nearest. So here you have a grace value that's half of your round value. So it's 7 in this case. So if you punch anywhere between 815 to 8 plus 7 is 821, anywhere between that, it goes back to 815. But if you punch anywhere between 8 21 to 830, it's going to take you to 830. And in previous, no matter where you punch between 830 to 845, it's going to take you back to 830. Like you can apply this to 00 to 015. So if I'm applying previous quarter and I'm punching at 81, so it's going to take me back to 8. Even if I punch it at 814, it's going to take me back to 8. Any questions? Are you clear with this?
Yes, okay. We
Yes.
are okay with this.
Okay, good. So we will see some examples. So I created some examples here. So if you see here, we'll practice next first. So there's a shift. Sorry, there's not a shift. So this is 1 hour, and it's been divided into 15. So you have 4 segments. So we will apply next to this. So you go ahead and tell me what is going to happen. This is the next. So I'm using the type called next. So what is going to happen? So I'm going to punch anywhere between 7:1 to 7:14. So before that, what is the grace and what is the round here? What is the round?
15 is the round.
Yeah.
Grace is 0.7.
0. 0. Yeah, perfect. So my first segment is going to be 7:1 to 7:15 because my round has divided my hour into segments. So it will only consider the segments. So if you punch at 7:15, it's going to stay at 7:15. So I'm going to punch at 7:05. What is going to happen?
It will goes to 7:15.
Okay. If I punch in at 7:26.
Then it will goes to 7:30.
Super. So if I punch at 7:45.
So it goes to 7:45.
Oh, yeah, it stays at
7:45. Yeah.
Yeah. So in next, it's never going backward. There's no question of going back. Whatever time you choose, it's only going to take you forward. Okay, I'll give you some questions. Can you please both do it on your end now and give me the results? Like, can you read it to me? Are you both at the same place or you're different from different places?
No, ma'am. In same place.
Okay. Okay, I think I'll give it to as homework then for 1/10 rounding. So in that situation, you'll be able to, do it. So the next type is nearest. So what this next nearest previous means is based on what your company is going to ask you, you have to decide which one will suit. Like they'll tell you, right? If this person is coming here, I wanted to go back, I wanted to go forward. So based on that, you have to make the decision and choose which one is going to suit your situation. So this is nearest. So in nearest, what happens? Grace is always half of round, and the punches are going to go back or forward. And what determines how it goes back or forward is the grace. So I have my grace here. My grace is 7, 15. So half of 15 is 7. So in the first 6 minutes, it will go forward. In the next 6 minutes, it will go backward. For example, if an employee punches at 7 or 7:15 or 7:30 or 7:45 or 8, it's going to remain the same. There's no change in it. Like next. But if an employee punches at between 7:1 and 7:7, the punch is going to round back, like it will go to 7. So now you tell me what will happen if an employee punches between 7:8 to 7:14.
It will go to forward 7:15.
Yeah, correct. So when an employee punches on the grace minute, the punch is always rounded back in this situation. So if he punches at 7:7, it goes backward. Okay. So this is nearest. So we'll see one more model called previous. Are you clear with this? Any questions? If he punches at 7:7, it goes
No, ma'am.
back. Yeah. Okay, fine. So we'll go to the last model that's called previous. So this is exactly opposite of next. In next, your grace value is going to be 0, but here it's going to be 1 less than the round. So here it's going to be 8:14. Sorry, 7:14 is your I'm sorry, 15 is your round and 14 is your grace. So in this case also at 7, 7:15, 7:30, 7:45, it will remain at the same place. But if an employee punches between 7:1 and 7:14, it's going to go back to 7. If an employee punches between 7:16 and 7:29 also, it goes back. It goes back. So in this segment, anywhere he punches between, it goes back. There's no other option here. And in this, there is no going forward. Okay, understood?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, I have one question.
Yeah.
In the three segment, next, nearest, and previous, then previous one is better. Previous one is good for use in Kronos system for punching.
Yeah, because we will generally don't want to. Oh, you're asking like which is good?
Yeah.
Which is so we cannot say what is good or what is not usable. So these are the options that you have. So when your client is going to say like see if the employees I want the employees to punch in at 7 a.m, but if they are going to come after 7, even 1 minute late, I want them to be late by 15 minutes. I want the punch to go to 7:15. So in that case, what will you choose?
Sorry, ma'am, I can understand.
Okay, so so see that so suppose I'm telling you that see Ronali, if the employees are coming at if their employees are even late by 1 minute, I don't want the punch to
Okay.
be at 8 o'clock or 8:01. I want it to go to 8:15 only. I want them to learn that they should be on time. So I want them to lose that 15 minutes of time. So in that case, what you'll do? Like the punch has to go forward. So what you'll do?
Next.
Then that time I will use next.
Correct. So there is no good or like there is no right or wrong option. So you have to determine based on your client's requirements. You just have to understand if they want the punch to go forward, what you should do. It has to be next. If they want the punch to go backward, it has to be previous. But if they say that before this means it can go back, before after this means it can go front, means you have to use nearest. So
Okay.
there's this concept. So you have to make the final decision based on your client's requirement. If you have
Okay.
access to set up at your chrono system, go and see how this thing is set up. No, you'll get an idea. I'll do a demo now. I'll set up a small thing now, but once we do this, you go at your system and you see how this thing is set up.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the concept of round and and grace. So this round and grace, it applies to both these things, punch round and interval round. So what punch round is, it's going to round each and every shift. Like in punch it is going to round, out punch it is going to run. So it's going to round. So if you so you are working in a company, right? You have a badge. When you go in, it's not that you're never coming out, you also come out and then you go back in. So there are multiple in and out punches. So all those things this punch round rule does. So what interval round rule does is, it's going to round the whole shift. So for example, say that I have worked from 8:15 to 4:32 or something. So it's roughly 8 440 447, 8:15 to 4:47. So it's roughly 8 hours. My shift is 8 hours, but I work for 8 hours and 2 minutes. So it's going to round that whole shift, the total shift value it's going to round, not the punch. I'll go first set up a punch round rule, and then I will set up an interval round rule. So I'm here. So we have in punch, out punch, unscheduled, and missed punch. So the system is asking you to tell. So for in punch you can use nearest, for out punch you can use previous. So it can be anything. How you want to determine an unscheduled, how you want to determine a missed punch. So I'll go and do a basic in for today using quarter rounding, and I want this to round back to the previous quarter hour. So I'm going to use next. So I'm going to set this to 15. So it's going to be 0 and 15. So it's 15 minutes. My round is 15. And in next, okay, we'll do previous because next is very easy. So we'll do previous. So I'll set 14 for grace. In punch. And okay, so there's some other option called as change point, right? I'll just explain you what that is. So okay, so this change point is going to determine when inside and outside punches are handled. Like this is an optional thing only, so mostly it's going to be 0. But what it does is, it determines at which point in time a punch is going to be handled differently, apart from the standard rounding or grace. So what this means is, like so we have 1 hour from 8 to 9. So the company is saying that leave whatever happens between 8 to 8:30 as it is. So whatever happens from 8:30 to, so for the first hour, first half an hour, don't do anything. Only for the next half an hour you apply rules. So in that case, what you'll do is, you'll set up 30 minutes in the change point. So what it does is, it's going to it's not going to touch anything that happens in the first 30 minutes. So it will apply the rules whatever you do to the next 30 minutes. Okay, so I'll set up this as quarter 15 to 7. So my change is 0. My so I've given 15, and this I'm just thinking if we should do previous. Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll do previous. So this is my early punch rounding. So I'm setting it to 15, and it's going to round to the previous quarter because my grace is 14. So for my late punch, I'll leave the change as it is, and I will set the grace and round as it is. 15 and 14. Okay, yeah, this should do. Okay, so we have this in punch, out punch tabs, right? So there's something called here as early punch running. What this means is this indicates if the punch is before the scheduled start time or stop time, and same way if they're punching late after the scheduled stop time. So that is what this means. So I'll go ahead and I'll save this. I'll set up the out punch as well, and I will finish this. So I'll set this to 15 and I'll set this to 14. Similarly, my out is going to be 15 and my in is going to be 14, and I'll save this. I'll save and return. Okay, so this there is this unscheduled tab, right? So what this means is, so if an employee is working a shift but it's unscheduled, means how you want to round it. Should it be next, previous, or quarter? And the same for missed punch, like how do you want it to be treated? So for exercise, I'm going to share a document with you. Like I'll just share some notes with you, like this chart. It's for 6th hour rounding. You have to create this, or you can draw and you can send me like this. Is that okay? Like, can you draw like this for 10th hour? Like I'm going to divide it into 10 minutes. So it's, sorry, 6 minutes each. So I'll have 10 divisions in total. So you have to apply next, previous, and nearest punches to it, and you have to share the notes with me. I'll send you the details in email.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll share this also as reference for you. So, and I'll tell you what you have to do. So you just do that and let me know. I've told them about the access, so they're working on it. So once you get the access, I will give you tasks for all this. I have them written, so I'll give you tasks for all this. So you'll set this up and we'll start working on it. So for now, I'm just going to give you explanations for like the backend explanation of how this works.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So next, the next item in the work rule building block is a shift guarantee. So what this does is it's going to pay you a definite amount
Ma'am,
irrespective
hello.
of, yeah, yeah,
Sorry. Ma'am, can you go back to that page, the
to,
rounding rule?
yeah.
Ma'am, in earlier
Mhm.
punch, there is a outside and inside. What that mean?
That's your inside punch and your outside punch. Like
Um,
you will have an in punch, right? So inside works along with change point. So when you have change point, this is now gray, right? It won't open up. So once I give some change point, this opens up. So like I said, you're not going to consider the first 20 minutes. Only the next 40 minutes you're going to consider, means it will consider the first 20 minutes as inside and the next 30 minutes as outside. So next 40 minutes as outside. So that is inside and outside, and it grays out if it's 0. Still confusing, or once
yes,
we
ma'am.
have an employee and we test on it, you'll be able to see. We can populate this on the time card and we can test it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So the next thing is we're going to do shift guarantees. So what a shift guarantee means is, I'm going to pay my employees some minimum amount, even if they work less than what they are scheduled for. So I can tell that they have to work 2 hours on Monday, 2 hours on Tuesday, like that, so that they'll get at least the minimum pay that they are scheduled for. So the setup for this is very simple, based on the requirements. So I will just go ahead and I'll save this. So that's it for shift guarantee. So basic definition is, you're going to pay employees even if they work very less times. Like even if they work only 1 hour, they're going to get guaranteed of 2 hours on Monday. Similarly, even if they work only 1 hour on Wednesday, they're going to get guaranteed of 2. You can put 2 or 4 or for all the days, but it depends on the requirement. Okay, that is shift guarantee. Exceptions. I hope you're taking notes, because at the end of this I want to have some questionnaire with you. Since you said you're trying to look out for jobs, I want to conduct a mock interview sort of thing. So in interviews they'll generally ask you for definitions, what is the role of this, or if I'll tell you like I want to pay my employees this minimum, where will you go and set up, means you'll have to tell me the answer for that. So I hope you're taking the notes for this. If not, let me
Yes,
know. I'll go ahead and dictate.
yes, ma'am. We are
Okay.
taking notes.
Okay. So the next thing in the work rule building blocks is exceptions. So what exceptions does is, exception is basically nothing but it's going to create some colors or flags in the time cards, reports, etc., to see if my normal shift has deviated. Like for example, if I have worked, if my employee has worked a very long shift or a very less shift, or if they have taken a long break, something like that. So all those things I can color code it and use my exceptions to find out if my employee has done that. So we'll go ahead and do a small setup for exceptions. So we have two tabs over here, right? I have punches and I have breaks. So in the next thing you will know how, in the next two exceptions is breaks after core hours. So in breaks we will see how a shift, like how which in punch and out punch should be considered for a break. So but before that I'll just do a small sample for punches. So somebody doesn't have a schedule but he still come and work today. So what I'll do is I'll select this unscheduled, and my requirement is that the employee, when they come in 30 minutes or more before their schedule start, they need to select they need to be flagged. So I can do both of these in one rule. So I'm going to say if my employee is going to come 30 minutes before, I'll just put it as 30. So if my employee is coming 30 minutes before his scheduled start, oh, sorry, this is 24. This is R. The next thing is, so I want to flag anybody who's working an unscheduled and early shift. So I've put 30 here. The rest all is default, right? So it means that it's going to be the same. Only where you make changes, that field is going to get considered. So I've selected the unscheduled. So if an employee has no schedule and he has worked, he'll get flagged, like there'll be a red thing on the time card. And if he's worked a very early shift, if he's worked a very early shift, like say like he's come 30 minutes early to work, then I've put 30 here for minutes in my in punch in early. So it's going to flag this as well for me. So I'll save and return this. So this is this is exception rules. So I think I'll just stop here, or I'll just explain what core hours is. But by next week we will be we are planning to have some employees scheduled in, so it'll be easier for you to grasp. But for today, we will just conclude this with core hours. Okay. So I'll tell you what core hours is. So what core hours is? It defines rules or time ranges that employees are expected to work. Like this employee's core hour means they have to work 8 hours on these days. Only then they'll get paid for what they work. So that is core hours. So this is something opposite to shift guarantees, where when you work even a minimum hour, you're going to get paid. But here it's like you're going to get paid only if you work at least minimum of 5 days a week, etc. So I'm not going to set this one up. In my example, we don't have core hours. It won't impact. So uh, so once we get the system fixed, we will go ahead and fix it. So any questions or any doubts or anything that you want to discuss? We have some time today.
Ma'am, can you go with new shift guarantee again? Because I can't understand that.
Okay, you want to go to shift guarantee? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to explain it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what shift guarantee means is my employee will get paid uh for 2 hours for sure, even if he has worked only for 15 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. His shift
Okay,
is for 8 hours. For some reason, he is not able to work full day that day. He might be sick or something. He's not going to work full day, but he's going to get paid for a minimum time, even if he has worked for very less hours on that day. Like 4 hours on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, etc. So even if they work only for 20 minutes on Monday, he'll get 2 hours amount, 20 rupees, right? So he'll get 40 rupees for that day for sure, even if he has worked only for 10 minutes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so so this is for quarter. So
Can you
this is
ask
called
that
as,
question again?
yeah. So 1 second. So this is quarter rounding. So the next thing I want to do is 1/10 rounding. So this is going to be the same, but my round is 6. I want to divide my 1 hour into 10 divisions. So if 60 by 10 is 6 minutes, so I'll have 6 minutes. So you tell me what grace punch, what grace value would be for next, nearest, and previous.
Next is 0.
Yeah.
And the nearest is 3.
Super.
And previous is 5.
Oh, super. Okay. Okay. So I'll also send this to you so you can keep this with you. So I'll just give you some examples. So what you'll have to do is you have to draw something like this, like divided into 10/10, and like just add some hours in it, like some like this 7/1 or 7/2, whatever hour you want to choose. Like it can be 5 o'clock, or even it can be night 9 or 10. So just do, and you create this in this format, like next, nearest, previous. So once we are done with pay policies, we'll just do a small mock interview sort of thing. We'll just see how timekeeping works. So you know it'll also be a good refresher for you.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Can we
Ma'am,
conclude the session?
I
Is
have
there
some
any?
question.
So yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
after
Tell
this,
me.
complete this course. Yeah, after complete this course, can we apply for a Kronos developer or a Kronos consultant job?
You can apply for Kronos consultant.
Okay.
So mostly what consultant do is they'll do both development and support work. You can be in support for some time, so you'll understand how the system works, and then you can again move to some other company for development job. Like you can to Kronos, their ultimate Kronos group now, right, in Bangalore, so you can start applying there, or in Noida or Gurgaon.
Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
thanks,
ma'am.
bye, happy weekend,
Bye bye.
enjoy.
Bye.
Thanks.